Hello everybody, today we're talking about electrolytes. This is part 2 of the minerals video. Part 1 we talked about the major minerals. Now electrolytes are actually considered major minerals, but we're grouping them together because they have a very common job in working together to regulate the fluid balance in the body. And so that gives them their own category when it comes to minerals. When you're looking at electrolytes, they help with a process called osmosis, which is the process by which fluids flow in and out of the cells through the cell walls. So basically, making sure that your fluid balance is right in those cells and preventing dehydration. When you sweat, you lose electrolytes as well as a significant amount of water. And so you really need to make sure that you're keeping up with being hydrated and replacing the electrolytes. As you're exercising, your body can sweat up to 1 liter per hour. That's a lot of sweat. And it can only keep up with that for a couple of hours without having the replacement of those electrolytes and fluids. If water and electrolytes are not replaced, you could result in heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Now, if you're sick, that's another time where you need to make sure you're getting plenty of fluids and replacing electrolytes because, again, you could become dehydrated. If you're looking at drinks that are out there to replace your fluids and keep you healthy when you're sick, things like Pedialyte are very high in electrolytes. Gatorade or sports drinks are high in electrolytes that you're only supposed to be drinking those when you're exercising because they are very high in electrolytes, and you don't really need them if you're not working out and sweating and needing that replacement. So the first electrolyte is potassium, and the benefits of potassium, one, is to maintain that fluid balance, but it does have other important jobs as well. Potassium is important in maintaining a regular, steady heartbeat. It also helps with your many major systems, keeping your muscles working properly, keeping the nervous system working properly. It helps with growth and development, and it helps regulate your blood pressure. If you get too little, it can cause fainting and vomiting, things that would go right along with dehydration. When you're looking at potassium, though, deficiencies are rare, and also getting too much is also pretty rare. The groups that have a higher risk of getting too much potassium would be people with kidney problems who aren't able to get rid of the excess amounts, and that could, in those cases, contribute to heart problems. For a regular person without kidney problems, muscular paralysis could be a possibility that somebody could have as a result of getting too much potassium. Now, your sources, you do have to watch, because if you're on a low sodium diet and you're using a salt substitute, that sometimes is replaced with the potassium, and so you could be getting potassium from them. Oranges and bananas are good sources of potassium. Bananas is one of the more popular foods that is associated with potassium. When I was a kid, a lot of times if you went to sporting events, parents would bring in bananas and oranges, and you'd eat those during halftime to help replace the electrolytes. Other good sources of potassium: vegetables, meat, dairy products are all good sources. Second electrolyte is sodium. Benefits of sodium is it does help maintain that fluid balance along with potassium. It also helps your nerves and muscles work properly, and it regulates your blood pressure. Deficiency, again, is pretty rare, especially in the United States. We tend to have to worry more about getting too much than too little. But if you would have a case of having too little sodium, it can result in fainting and vomiting. I have heard of some people who have passed out and then they linked it back to not enough sodium. Again, pretty rare because Americans do get way too much sodium in their diet. If you get too much, that's more likely in the United States because we do consume a lot of high sodium foods. And so if you get too much sodium, it can raise your blood pressure, and that is also called hypertension, and that can affect your heart. The more sodium you consume, the higher your blood pressure will be. And so a lot of people who have high blood pressure may be put on medication, but they would also probably be put on a low sodium diet. Sources, it's one part of the table salt compound. Table salt is sodium chloride, so sodium is there, and we get plenty of table salt. It's also in a lot of processed foods, because if you remember, processed foods use sodium to help in the preservation process, and so you can use those foods once the company makes them. They preserve it with a salt, and then it can stay in a can or in the freezer for a long period of time until you buy it, take it home, prepare it, and so it lasts a lot longer and has a longer shelf life. And so you do have to watch how much processed foods you're getting, because that can definitely increase your sodium level. A lot of the sodium intake that we have as Americans actually comes from processed foods. And then the second part of table salt, sodium chloride. Chloride is the last electrolyte. Again, benefits of chloride: it helps maintain that fluid balance. It works together with potassium and sodium to make sure that the fluids are in the right balance in your body. It also helps with nerve transmission, and it helps with the digestive process. Deficiency, again, is rare. We get plenty of, especially in the United States, we get plenty of table salt, and so you're getting that chloride there. If you would have too little chloride, it could result in fainting or vomiting, some of those same symptoms, again, of dehydration. If you get too much, it could, again, cause high blood pressure. Definitely an issue in the United States that we tend to get way too much. And sources, you're going to get that from the table salt. And we use, again, a lot of table salt. So that concludes the electrolytes portion of the minerals videos. Next up will be the trace minerals. As always, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to email me, and have a great day.